A 70-year-old woman knocked a plate of food from President Traoré's hands and was immediately grabbed by security. What happened next shocked everyone at the restaurant. She demanded to eat the food herself to prove it was poison. Within minutes, the old woman started showing symptoms of poisoning, revealing an assassination plot that would have killed Burkina Faso's president. This is the untold story of how an elderly woman from nowhere became the unexpected guardian angel to one of Africa's most controversial leaders. Before that day, the woman was just another face in the crowd of Burkina Faso. She lived a simple life in the outskirts of Ouagadougou, her days filled with the rhythms of market visits and chats with neighbors. Nobody knew her name outside her small community. She cooked meals for her grandchildren, told stories under mango trees, and carried the wisdom of 7 decades within her weathered face. Her clothes were modest, her possessions few. She represented thousands of elderly women across the country who lived quiet lives away from power and politics. In Burkina Faso society, women her age often become invisible. They walk through crowded markets unnoticed, their opinions dismissed in family discussions, their knowledge treated as outdated. The elderly woman existed in this shadow world where respect for elders remains in cultural theory, but fades in daily practice. This invisibility followed her everywhere, until it became her greatest advantage. When she entered the restaurant that day, security guards barely gave her a second glance. Her gray hair and bent posture made her seem harmless, just another grandmother perhaps, looking to sell small items or beg for spare change. The presidential security detail was focused on scanning for young men, for people who looked like threats. Their eyes passed over her as if she wasn't even there. She used their blindness to move closer to the president's table. What motivated this woman to act remains a subject of fascination. When questioned later, she spoke of having a dream where she saw you sitting at a table about to eat food that would unalive you. This spiritual dimension adds mystery to her actions. In West African traditions, dreams often serve as messages from ancestors or divine warnings. Her conviction was absolute. She had received knowledge that demanded action. How did she know about the plot? Some believe she overheard conspirators in the market. Others think she noticed suspicious activity in the restaurant. The woman herself claimed deeper knowledge, telling President Traoré, "I know many things, my son. I have lived many years. I have seen kings rise and fall. I have seen betrayal in places you would never imagine. I see things others cannot." Her willingness to risk everything, even consuming poison herself, reveals extraordinary courage. The moment the guards jumped up, their hands moving to their guns, would terrify most people into silence. Yet she persisted. Her lifetime had prepared her for this moment. Years of observing human nature gave her the ability to recognize danger. Decades of surviving hardship taught her to act decisively. A lifetime of being overlooked allowed her to move undetected. The woman's 7 decades of life experience culminated in this singular moment of heroism. She had learned when to speak and when to remain silent, when to observe and when to act. Despite her ordinary background, her actions that day would prove extraordinary, transforming her from an invisible elder into the unexpected savior of a nation's leader. President Traoré was tired after a long day of public events. His stomach growled as he sat in his black SUV with his security team. The guards suggested they stop at an upscale restaurant, a place known for safety and good service. Traoré shook his head. He didn't want fancy food served on expensive plates. He wanted to eat where regular people ate, places that felt real to him. The restaurant they chose was small and busy. Regular citizens filled the tables, eating and talking. Everyone stopped when the president walked in. His security team checked the place, moving through the room with practiced efficiency. They arranged themselves around a table in the corner, and Traoré sat down. The owner brought a steaming plate of rice and stew, the rich aroma filling the air. The president picked up his spoon, ready to satisfy his hunger. That's when it happened. An old woman appeared almost out of nowhere. She walked with a noticeable limp, her clothes worn and dusty. Before anyone could stop her, she lunged forward and knocked the plate from Traoré's hands. The food splattered across the floor. The security team reacted instantly. 2 guards grabbed her arms while others formed a tighter circle around the president. "How dare you?" one guard shouted. Another yelled, "Beat her!" The restaurant fell silent as customers watched the scene unfold. The woman didn't struggle or try to run. Instead, she reached for a second plate of food on the table and began eating it herself. Traore raised his hand, signaling his guards to wait. He studied the woman's face, trying to understand. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. The woman looked directly at Traore, her eyes clear and determined. "If you love your life, do not eat this food. Disaster will strike if you do." She continued eating the food, each bite deliberate. The president's patience thinned. He demanded to know who prepared the meal. The restaurant owner called his wife from the kitchen. She appeared nervous, her hands shaking as she stood before the president. Traore ordered his guards to search the kitchen. They found a small bottle hidden behind some spices. It contained poison. The restaurant erupted in chaos. Some customers prayed out loud. Others cried. The guards surrounded the restaurant owner's wife, who broke down and admitted she had been paid to poison a special guest. She hadn't known it would be the president. Meanwhile, the elderly woman began showing symptoms. Her breathing became labored. Sweat beaded on her forehead. She collapsed to the floor, still conscious but clearly suffering. The president kneeled beside her, shame washing over him for doubting her warning. Medical help arrived quickly, but the woman's condition worsened by the minute. She had willingly consumed poison meant for the president. Her selfless act had saved Traore's life, but at what cost to her own? As they carried her out on a stretcher, the president realized this wasn't just about a failed assassination attempt. The elderly woman's intervention had exposed something much bigger, a conspiracy that reached far beyond this small restaurant. The elderly woman's dramatic collapse triggered immediate action. President Traoré ordered a full investigation, while medical staff rushed to save the woman who had just saved him. Within hours, security forces locked down the restaurant and began questioning everyone inside. The president himself stayed by the woman's side as she fought for her life in the makeshift medical ward established in the presidential palace. As the woman stabilized, she revealed something that stunned everyone in the room. Between labored breaths, she named one of Traoré's own bodyguards as part of the plot. "The tall one with the scar," she whispered. "He talked to the chef's wife yesterday. I was sweeping nearby." This revelation sent shock waves through the presidential security team. The guard she identified, Marcel Konaté, had been with Traoré since his rise to power. Investigators moved quickly to the restaurant kitchen, where they discovered traces of a rare plant-based toxin in the discarded food. When confronted, the restaurant owner's wife broke down in tears. She admitted to adding the poison, but claimed Konaté had threatened her family. "He said they would kill my children if I didn't do it," she told investigators. "He gave me the powder and said just put it in the president's food." The political context made the assassination attempt even more significant. President Traoré had recently announced plans to renegotiate mining contracts with foreign companies, particularly those from France and Russia. His populist policies had won him support among Burkina Faso's citizens, but created powerful enemies both inside and outside the country. When security forces arrested Konaté, he initially denied everything. But after 12 hours of interrogation, he confessed to receiving payment of 50,000 euros from a foreign businessman with connections to international mining interests. Bank records confirmed a large deposit made to an offshore account in Konaté's name just 3 days before the attempted assassination. The investigation expanded rapidly, uncovering a network that reached into the highest levels of government. 2 ministers and 3 additional security personnel were implicated. Documents found in Konaté's apartment revealed communication with operatives linked to a neighboring country's intelligence service. The plot appeared to have been months in the making, with multiple fallback plans if the poisoning failed. For President Traoré, this revelation transformed his approach to governance. He ordered a complete restructuring of his security detail and implemented new protocols for food testing. More significantly, he accelerated his plans to reduce foreign influence in Burkina Faso's natural resources sector, using the assassination attempt as evidence of outside interference. The elderly woman's intervention had exposed much more than just a single assassination attempt. She had unwittingly revealed an entire web of corruption and foreign manipulation that threatened Burkina Faso's sovereignty. As she recovered from the poison that nearly claimed her life, President Traoré recognized he owed her not just his life, but also the truth about who his real enemies were. And now, having saved the president and exposed his enemies, the woman's own life was about to change in ways she never could have imagined. President Traoré's reaction to the elderly woman's sacrifice changed both their lives forever. In the moments after confirming the food contained deadly poison, the president knelt before the frail woman as she recovered in a nearby medical facility. With tears in his eyes, he spoke words that shocked everyone present. "Mother, you saved my life." This gesture of humility from a military leader, known for his stern demeanor, surprised his entire security team, especially those who had initially treated the woman with disrespect. The elderly woman, who had lived in poverty and obscurity, suddenly found herself transformed into a national figure overnight. The contrast couldn't have been more stark. One day walking the streets with torn clothes and a noticeable limp, the next becoming the president's savior and a symbol of wisdom that many had overlooked. Her story spread rapidly through Burkina Faso, capturing the imagination of citizens who saw in her the embodiment of courage hidden in plain sight. President Traoré made an unprecedented decision that surprised even his closest advisors. He invited the woman to live permanently in the presidential mansion. This wasn't merely a gesture of gratitude, but carried profound cultural significance in Burkina Faso, where respect for elders forms a cornerstone of traditional values. By elevating a poor elderly woman to his home, Traoré sent a powerful message about honoring wisdom, regardless of social status. The woman received her own room in the mansion, complete with new clothes and regular medical care. The presidential family embraced her presence, with Traoré introducing her to his wife and children as their new grandmother. She became integrated into daily life at the residence, a dramatic change from her previous solitary existence where she struggled for basic necessities. Each evening, President Traoré visited the woman's room to seek her counsel. Their conversations lasted hours, with the president absorbing her perspectives on leadership, loyalty, and justice. The woman's influence became evident in Traoré's governance approach. He grew more cautious in his decisions, more selective about his inner circle, and increasingly focused on policies benefiting the poor. Staff members noticed the president referencing the woman's wisdom during important meetings. The public reaction to this unusual relationship proved overwhelmingly positive. Citizens admired how Traoré honored the woman who saved him, seeing it as proof of his character and commitment to traditional values. His popularity increased as stories circulated about his evening consultations with the elderly woman, reinforcing his image as a leader connected to ordinary people and their wisdom. Through these unlikely circumstances, the woman found both purpose and family in her final years. After decades of loneliness following the loss of her own family, she now had people who valued her presence and sought her knowledge. For President Traoré, her arrival provided something equally valuable: a trusted voice without political ambition who spoke truth when others offered only flattery. This extraordinary bond between them gradually reshaped not just their individual lives, but potentially the future direction of an entire nation. That old woman's transformation from unknown citizen to presidential advisor changed not just her life, but possibly the entire nation of Burkina Faso. When President Traoré opened his car door for her that day, he wasn't just showing gratitude. He was acknowledging wisdom that society often ignores. The nameless hero who consumed poison meant for a president reminds us that courage exists in everyday people. Her story makes us question how we treat elderly citizens who carry lifetimes of experience and insight. In one brave moment, she altered history and proved something powerful. Heroism doesn't need youth, status, or recognition, just the willingness to act when others won't.